Hey, this is Nick. Welcome to Sinner's Confession. Fridays carry the open slot. No rules etched in stone, just the weight that rises heavy from the week. This time, it's media. Not the clean devotionals, not the polished sermons. The raw, secular stuff, and a few direct hits that slipped past my defenses when the dark was choking thick and dragged me, reluctant and scarred, back toward Christ. Before I dive in, these are not the only factors. Far from it. There were people close to me, brothers in the fight, voices that refused to let me vanish, who spoke truth when I couldn't hear it from anyone else. And there was a moment of providence, sharp and undeniable, that I laid out in full in the previous episode here on Sinner's Confession, where I read the To the Reader letter from the front of my novel American Traditional. That moment cracked the foundation wide open. The media I'm talking about today? It came after. Tools Grace used to finish the work, to keep the wall from rebuilding. I wasn't searching. I was running, numb, chained, convinced the old faith was dead weight I'd finally shed. But grace doesn't knock politely. It breaks in through cracked windows you didn't know were open. Ninjas or butterflies hit first. Outrageous comedy podcast, conspiracies, wild stories, hosts laughing through chaos. I tuned in for the absurdity, the escape. But underneath the madness, threads of real talk, faith glimpses, Jesus mentions amid the jokes landed like shrapnel. Not preachy, just honest men owning their mess while pointing to something steadier. It cracked the door, made me laugh at my own ruin, then wonder if laughter could coexist with redemption. Then Dr. Michael Heiser, scholar tearing into the unseen realm, the divine counsel, the supernatural woven through scripture I'd dismissed as myth. Books like The Unseen Realm forced me to face the Bible's raw edges. Not a tame God, but one commanding cosmic powers, still sovereign over every shadow. I fought it, called it overreach, but the worldview fit my scars better than the sanitized version I'd rejected. It reminded me the war was real, and the victor had already claimed the ground. Benjamin Todd, Lost Dog Street Band, solo work, came next. Raw Americana, gravel voice singing survival through addiction, loss, the long road back from the edge. Using again. A brutal confession, straight from the voice of the addict. No filter, no escape, just the low-down hate and the needle held like a gun. Then, war inside of me. The internal fire, the poison of sickness, the pretense of belief amid disbelief, the fight to kill the man I had been. Lyrics that bleed honesty. No easy fixes, just endurance and fragile hope. Not overt gospel, but the ache mirrored mine exactly. The refusal to romanticize ruin, the glimpse of something beyond the wreckage, pointed straight to grace that meets you there, in the dirt, refusing to leave you. Wesley Huff followed. Apologist, scholar. Deep dives into biblical manuscripts, the historical reliability of Scripture, public dialogues defending the faith on massive platforms. I stumbled into his talks, videos, interviews, expecting intellectual sparring or dry academia. But the clarity, the evidence laid out without arrogance, the personal humility amid sharp reasoning, cut deeper than anticipated. No fluff. Just truth about the texts, the historical Jesus, the manuscripts that hold up under scrutiny. It wasn't new information, it was the timing and delivery. Grace used solid evidence and a steady voice to remind me the foundation wasn't myth or wishful thinking. I wasn't beyond reach, even when I'd convinced myself the whole thing was intellectually bankrupt. Finally, Sleep Token. Masked, enigmatic, worship framed as devotion to an ancient sleep deity, lyrics drenched in longing, betrayal, sacrifice, Eden lost and sought. dark gospel choruses, ritualistic weight. I listened for the sound, the atmosphere. But the themes, worship despite pain, offering yourself as vessel, redemption through surrender, mirrored the gospel I'd buried. I know there's no official confirmation of Christian messaging. The band keeps it ambiguous, tied to their own mythology. Yet I hold my own quiet conspiracy, that beneath the veil it points toward Christ. Not preaching, not overt, but the hunger for transcendence, the echo of sacrifice and broken devotion pierced clean through. God hijacked the symbolism, turned it toward himself, using even the shadowed lore to call me back. This theory will get its own full episode here on Sinner's Confession down the line, when the time is right to unpack it deeper. None of these were accidents. Conspiracy laughs, academic deep dives, folk grit, rigorous apologetics, masked alt-metal lore. Varied tools, cracked vessels. But grace doesn't need holy packaging. It severs chains with whatever's at hand. I resisted every step. Doubt clung hard. Scars didn't vanish. But the wall crumbled piece by piece. Ruin isn't final. Chains snap. A man can stand again when the light breaks in uninvited. If you're still tangled, still bleeding, still whispering that tomorrow might hold something different, pay attention to what you consume. God can use the unlikely, the absurd, the scholarly, the profane to call you home. It doesn't have to look sacred to carry sacred weight. Linktree in the bio for Wednesday chapters of American Traditional. Comment if media ever cracked your own darkness open toward Christ. What song, what voice, what unexpected thing hit when you weren't looking? See you next Friday. Stay real.